So starting off right in the action, assuming I'm recording. Am I recording? That's a question. Yeah, I am. So Horton 229. This is my first ever fly out in it. Most of my team's dead, and there's some F-82s screwing around over there, but more importantly, there's a Bearcat chasing me. Now that is an F-8 F-1B, and another one's diving on me soon, right there. You can see the dot, he'll be marked in a second. Yep, there's another one diving on me. He absolutely has the energy advantage on me, but thankfully, the Horton is about 100 miles per hour faster, even stock. It's not the fastest jet by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to prop planes, it's pretty damn fast. Even at sea level, where the Bearcat is tied with the Tempest Mark II for being the fastest prop, the Horton's just faster. But you'll notice that Bearcat that had energy advantage over me, he's looks like he's giving it up by diving and losing that energy. And something about the Horton 229 that basically what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get the Bearcat to fly level behind me, at which point I will accelerate up to my top speed, which is significantly higher than his, which means I'll have the energy advantage. And if I have the energy advantage, considering the Horton 229 is pretty much right there with the Sabre as far as zoom climb abilities are concerned. The only reason the Sabre can get any higher is because it's faster. I actually tested it. This plane and the Sabre, both starting at sea level, both starting at 500 miles per hour, the Horton will match the Sabre in a zoom climb. And as far as I'm aware, there's no other aircraft in game that zooms that well. And to be honest, it probably shouldn't. It's not actually that heavy, and it actually has a substantial amount of drag, being an absolutely massive surface area, but I don't really care right now. Let me put it this way, the Horton it's probably significantly more overpowered at its rank than the Griffin Spitfire is at 5.3, and I'm not exaggerating at all. It's insane. So you know how the Bearcat climbs faster than the Horton? Yeah, it does climb faster, but it doesn't zoom climb as well, which means I'm not committing yet. I'm playing with them a little. I'm trying, because the Horton accelerates horribly at low speeds. But if I've been able to get the Bearcat also to an extremely low speed, and if I can convince him to try and turn after me, the Horton, being massive wing, and not actually being that heavy, has an awe-inspiring lift to drag ratio, which means it has just godly energy retention. And yes, a Bearcat 1B just shot me and I didn't immediately evaporate, but now the Bearcat's just screwed because I have a lower stall speed than he does, which means I can outturn him pretty easily. I would have just killed him, but this plane's rudder is, oh my god, it's bad. But doesn't matter how bad this plane's rudder is, because I just have to wait for him to not roll at the perfect time. And he didn't roll at the perfect time, and I shot his tail off. You'll also notice I'm completely stock, even if he was also completely stock. That was a Horton, sitting on a Bearcat's tail, and no, the Bearcat actually was not gaining any energy over me at all. I was actually able to maintain energy with a Bearcat in a maneuvering fight, and we're going to do it again with a damaged engine. Yes, my left engine is leaking oil quite badly, and it's already overheating, and it's going to die about halfway through this fight with this next Bearcat. But this plane doesn't really need two engines. It does acceptably well with only one. It's not great. There's twin-engine planes that have all the weight of two engines. So you'll notice I don't actually have that much of an energy advantage over this Bearcat. The reason I can outdistance him so easily is simply down to the fact that I have a much better zoom climb than he does. And as a result, and I also maintain energy, as long as I don't derp turn like an asshole, as long as I don't try and pull a 14G turn, I can retain energy even better than he does as well. So gentle pull out, gentle zoom climb while he's doing his nice hard silly Bearcat turns, throwing away what little what little energy his acceleration might give him over me. So a Bearcat 1B can fight back against a Horton. This plane doesn't just completely dominate it in the way that a Griffin Spitfire will entirely dominate a 109G. But it's not particularly... The Bearcat doesn't have a lot of tricks up its sleeve. The Bearcat's only advantage is acceleration. The problem is if the Horton's behind the Bearcat, doesn't matter how fast the Bearcat accelerates, and because the Horton turns better, That's usually where the Horton is. And yeah, my accuracy is not the best. And now at this point, I'm still energy fighting. I still have not committed to a turn fight. But here's that godly zoom climb again, and the fact that he threw away all his speed again in a hard turn. If he wouldn't be hard turning, if he would be doing the gentle, careful maneuvers I do when I'm flying my Bearcat, he'd be a lot closer, but I still don't think he'd be able to close the energy gap with me. At least not without maneuvering so gently he let me kill him. And now at this point, I'm actually turning away from him. I'm trying to get him to turn back up towards me and throw energy away. Alternatively, if he turns that way and throws energy away, that works for me too. And one of these times I'm not going to miss, and there we go. It's actually pretty comical how just ridiculously good this plane turns. And people that think it retains energy poorly, compare it side by side to a Bearcat. Get both of them going, say 300 miles per hour, throw them into a hard 6G limited turn. This plane will absolutely hold energy as well as a Bearcat will. Unless you try and do a 12 to 13G pull in this plane, in which case, obviously, a plane doing a 13G turn is going to bleed a lot more energy than the Bearcat, which at 300 miles per hour can only hit about 7. So if you turn harder than them, yes, you will bleed more speed, so just don't turn harder than them. Just because you're in a Bearcat doesn't mean you have to hammer the elevator in every turn. The exact same thing applies with this plane. It doesn't build energy terribly quickly, but even in hard maneuvers, as long as you don't exceed 6G, it holds energy very well. And just to prove it, here is my Horton, and here is how stock it is. Someday it will be even better, but that day is not quite yet this day. So I always say this, I always say expect more of this plane, and I just don't record for a month. But I'm thinking you should expect more of this plane. I like planes that are massively overpowered. Even though it makes me feel sick, I don't care. It's so ridiculous. So bad. In such a good way. So I'll see you guys next time.